We're on the beach in Hat Head. We've been on a road trip in New South Wales the past week, and it's the perfect opportunity to show you guys through the Mercedes Sprinter I've been fitting out the past year. This is going to be a little bit different than most van tours because, unlike most, my van isn't in perfect condition sitting on a showroom. This is what it looks like after a week of use on the beach, on dirt roads, everywhere that we've wanted to go the past week. So let's have a look. So it's a 2021 Mercedes Sprinter. It's a mid-wheelbase, which lets me fit in normal car parks, but it's got the high roof, which lets me stand up inside. So it's a perfect combo. It's a factory 4x4, so it's got selectable 4x4 and low range. They're just about to flick over and start bringing in the all-wheel drives, but this is the one that I could get my hands on. It's got a factory 4.5-inch lift, so this is factory ride height, but I have put in a set of Van Compass Falcon shocks, front and back. As far as wheels and tyres go, I've got a set of Black Rhino Arsenals. I put 16s on because we can't go massive with tyres, so we want the most sidewall we can. And then for tyres, I ended up going with Falcon Wild Peaks. As far as load ratings and price goes, they're just really good. And then for the suspension, which is super cool, this Van Compass suspension lets me adjust the rebound, which allows me to stiffen the van up when I'm on the road. Going around roundabouts can be really sway. And then when we come on the beach, it allows me to twist them over to setting 1, which is nice and loose for beach driving. Allows the full suspension play. On the front, we've put an ECB bull bar with a set of Terralume spotties on top. Up to the roof, we've put a Terralume light bar on the top, and that's paired with the wedge tail roof rack, which has been perfect for putting all our boards and solar panels, and it also fits the Max fan that we've cut into the roof with their Max fan kit. If we come along to the back, so I feel like here in Australia, there's an enormous amount of money that can be spent on accessories for the back of Sprinters, especially if you start looking at importing stuff from the States. I've kept it kind of simple. I've found some products you can source here in Australia, and they do everything I need. This is the ladder from Frontrunner, and onto it I have bolted a Max Track holder from another brand that is on a hinge. So what I can do is undo my lock, hinge it out of the way, which gives me access to the roof, but it also makes it really hard to get on the roof unless you know the code. So I can kind of lock my stuff up there. It also lets me store all this extra kit on my ladder. And then on the other side, we've got a spare wheel carrier from Vita Style Solutions. Again, local to the sunny coast where I'm from. It's been amazing, and it saves me because I don't think I'll ever be able to pull this spare out from the underneath if we ever get a flat while I'm bogged. Some other little details on the backside here. We've got some little lights up on the roof, and as well as another thing we fitted here on the backside of the van are these caravan style windows, which are cool because it lets me keep them open even when it's raining. So even when water's coming down, I don't get wet inside the van. And the last feature on this side is I've put my water filler here in the black plastic just to hide it so that it's not standing out so much. So starting with the fridge, I've put a 135 litre upright Bushman's fridge in, and the reason I put it where it is that I can get to it while still standing outside the car. So I'm not tracking sand in and out every time I want to get something out of the fridge. As far as lighting, all the lights are controlled from these touch panels. I can control the inside lights, the outside lights, the lights at the back, all from here. And I've also got a panel in the back that lets me control all the lights as well. As we pull this guy out, we have a pull-out pantry, which lets us keep all our food. It also gives us a really cool spot to cook food outside the car under the awning. And it's nice and close to where we have the sink and the inside kitchen. So we might be doing the dishes inside or preparing inside and then bringing the food out here to get cooked. Alrighto. So this is our inside kitchen. It's got a nice timber bench top and a raised sink. We've put in 2 overheads that we keep things like camera gear. This one we keep towels and jumpers and stuff in. We've also got a microwave that runs off the inverter, as well as all of our dials and gauges that show us how much power we've got, if we're getting any solar, the temperature of the hot water system, and how much water we've got in the tanks. Got a little bookshelf and storage area down next to the bed here. I've got a button for the inverter. I've got switches for the water pump and the hot water. And I've got a 240 outlet for running things like induction or a toasting machine, as well as some USB chargers in the splashback. One of my favorite parts as well of the van are these caravan style windows, which allow me to push out and open up to the outside. These work super well if it is raining and I do need to cook inside and we don't want to sit outside, and I'm running something like an induction cooker in here. I've got ventilation right next to it, so it doesn't smell the van out quite so much. We've also got, if you pull up, the fire screen, and if you pull down, block out shades. So that's all super neat. Then we've got a raised sink, and I'll explain why we went with a raised sink shortly. I've got a brass tap, some brass hooks, and a coffee machine that basically stays fixed here because we use it so much. Where did I knock that down?
I have no idea.
All right, so looking at the bed area, you can see to start off with it's quite tall. And the reason because of that is that we needed lots of room to fit all our surfboards and kite gear and other stuff underneath in the garage. Starting off over in this corner, you can see we've put another caravan window in. Again, it's got fly screen and shutters. And it's only small, this one, but it's the perfect size to let a bit of breeze in. And again, it doesn't let water in when it's raining. Around to the back, we've put some curtains in, a nice little reading light. Up the top, we've put in a max fan, which I can control with this remote here. It allows, the reason the max fan's great is even if there's no wind, it will draw a breeze in through the little window and circulate it up and pull it out of the vent. So it keeps us a little bit cooler in those really hot, still nights. We've got a shelf along this side in the same position the window was, and we've got a Sirocco fan up the top here. So under the bench top, we've got a load of storage. We've got cupboards and drawers. In these top 2 drawers, we've got kitchen stuff. The top one's cutlery, the bottom one is pots and pans and plates and stuff. Then below that, we've got toiletries, and then the bottom 2 drawers we have for clothes. Now, one thing that's interesting is the top 3 drawers are actually not as deep as the bottom 2. The top 3 are only 300 mil deep, and the bottom 2 are 600 mil deep. And what that does is that gives us an empty space behind the kitchenette that allows the longboards from the garage to slide all the way through because they needed over 3 meters of length. This is more than enough room for anything that we'll ever need to carry. Over towards the back of the kitchen area, we've got a pull-out step with a little bit more storage in it that lets us get into the bed because the bed's quite high, as well as more pull-out bench top, which is just good if you need a little bit of extra horizontal space, and a drawer down the bottom here that's just full of odds and sods. That's quite big. So now let's take a look at what we call the garage area. So one thing we kept in mind when designing the van is we wanted the biggest garage area we possibly could because we like to bring lots of kite surfing gear, foils, fishing rods, snorkeling gear, as much as we possibly can. That's the main reason we decided to go with a lengthways bed. So it's a full-size queen bed running back to front. That way we get the biggest garage area. If we'd run it sideways with flares, we wouldn't have had enough length to fit our mid-lengths and our surfboards in straight, which was super important to us. This is actually designed around fitting 2 mountain bikes in this big slide here, which is why it's got the cutout in this center divider. We can fit 2 mountain bikes here and then still keep these 2 big drawers. A lot of designs you'll see the mountain bikes sit in the middle and then you don't get to fit much else in. So the most impressive part of our garage is probably this bit on the right here, which is where we fit our 2 longboards. So we can fit two 9'6" full-length logs. And the way that they run is behind the kitchen area, like I showed earlier. We've then got the big tray. So this was designed to fit two mountain bikes on it at the same time as the longboards. For right now, we've got some kite surfboards, a foil board, my shortboard, and my foil sitting on here. This is 2 meters long. It runs the whole way to the front of the bed. On top of that, we've got storage for another couple of surfboards against the bed base. These are being held up by ratchet straps. And that way, it just means we don't have quite so many boards stacked on top of each other when we want to bring them all. So moving on, we've got this drawer down the bottom. This is where we keep all our camping gear. So it has things like camp chairs, the fire pit, little toolbox. This is all the stuff we keep packed permanently. And so it never changes between any trip. We've put these wooden toppers on it, which just remove, which lets me get into all of the gear. It also makes a really good kitchen table if we're ever backed into a car park that we want to cook out the back. We can do that on here. And finally, we've got this top drawer, which again is about similar size to the bottom one. And right now we've got it packed with a wet tub, some more foil gear, and 3 kites packed on the back here. So along this left side, we've got a bunch more outlets and buttons. Starting at the top, we've got our shore power in. This lets us feed power through to the outlets we have inside the van, as well as charge the batteries off any shore power. Moving down, we've got some USB and cigarette sockets, and then another outlet for running any 240-volt appliance out the back. As we move down, next we've got the buttons and an outlet for our compressor. So this is just the ARB twin compressor, which you can turn on from here. Lets us do our tyres from the back of the car. We have another one of these wireless controls for all the lights. So I can control the lights not only in the back of the van, but the lights in the front of the van from here. It also comes with a key fob, so I can turn any of my lights on or off from my keys as well. And then as we move to the very bottom, we've got the controls for the air ride. So this has airbags in the back as part of the suspension, and it lets me lower and raise the van by about 50 mil. And this one's connected to the compressor, so it lets me drop the car. And then turn the compressor on and bring the car back up. And finally, back on this side of the van, we've got a shower hidden here under this silver cap. This is actually a boat deck wash shower. And it also features a mixer. So the mixer allows us to mix the hot water we get from our Duetto hot water system in with cold water. So we can set the Duetto to a quite high temperature and then mix it down to find the temperature we want. It's got a nice long hose on it. Perfect for having showers after the surf or washing down gear or anything we might want. The only thing I'd ever really covered was 12 volt. We've got 350 amps of lithium. It charges off a solar panel on the roof. And when we drive around, and it's more than we've ever needed. People spend stupid amounts of money on 12 volt. We don't go top brand or anything, but we don't need it to be waterproof because it lives inside the car. It's in a nice cool spot and we haven't had any trouble so far. If you've all enjoyed seeing what our van looks like after a week on the road, you'll notice it's covered in sand and dirt, but it's just what our life looks like on the road.